Webster's dictionary defines an epidemic as affecting or tending to affect a disproportionately large number of individuals within a population, community, or region at the same time. Based on that definition, Americans are currently facing an epidemic with consequences that are affecting us both now and will continue to do so in the future. This epidemic is childhood obesity. Childhood obesity results from a sedentary lifestyle, poor nutritional and eating habits, and a lack of healthy lifestyle role models. We must take a more proactive role in the health and education of our youth to halt this alarming trend. Let's look at some statistics and general information about childhood obesity. Obesity is defined as a condition characterized by the excessive accumulation and storage of fat in the body, which results in a body mass index or BMI of 30 or greater. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, childhood obesity has more than tripled in the past 30 years. Currently, 1/3 of American children are considered overweight or obese. Let's look at a graphic aid created by the CDC to show these increases across America. Here are some alarming statistics about childhood obesity. Obesity among children aged 6 to 11 years old increased from 5.6% in 1980 to 19.6% in 2009. Adolescents aged 12 to 19 years old increased from 5% to 18.1% in that same time period. The costs associated with the ongoing medical treatment for obese people are staggering. The estimated annual healthcare expenditure for obesity-related medical issues range from $11 to $14 billion for children and youth, and $75 to $93 billion for adults. While these figures are alarming, the greater cost is paid in terms of physical ailments that result from this condition. 70% of obese youth aged 5 to 17 years old have at least one risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Statistically, overweight or obese children are at a much higher risk to become overweight or obese adults, especially if one or more of their parents is obese. The presence of one obese parent more than doubles a child's risk of becoming an obese adult. Additional risk factors for the obese include type 2 diabetes, coronary heart disease, stroke, hypertension, gallbladder disease, osteoarthritis, sleep apnea, cancer, and for women, complications in pregnancy and menstrual irregularities. Some of the root issues contributing to this epidemic include sedentary lifestyle, the overabundance of video entertainment options, poor eating and nutrition choices, the lack of good role models, and genetics. Sedentary lifestyles are one of the leading causes of childhood obesity. In the United States, children are participating in sports or other physically demanding activities in dwindling numbers. More and more schools are being forced to cut their physical education programs in order to meet budgetary requirements. One study showed that gym classes offered to third graders only resulted in 25 minutes of vigorous activity each week. Only 20% of children in organized sports do so through their school. The remaining 80% are in non-school programs. It is interesting to note that our institutions of education are failing to promote what 92% of parents find essential to their child's overall education, development, and well-being, and that is physical activity. With the overabundance of video and media entertainment options available to children today, it's no wonder that the average child spends about 5 hours or 40% of their waking hours in front of some type of electronic device. Children 8 to 18 years old spend nearly 4 hours a day in front of a TV screen, and almost 2 additional hours on the computer and playing video games. Note that 2 hours in front of the computer does not include time spent doing homework. Nearly 80% of children have a TV or a computer in their room, and indoor static activities such as video games, computer games, watching movies, and TV have taken over as the primary pastimes for our children. Poor eating and nutrition choices plague our youth. The overabundance of cheap, calorically dense, and nutritionally insignificant foods have resulted in eating patterns that are detrimental to the child's well-being. Unsupervised children are more likely than others to consume more of these high-calorie snacks. The New York Times reported a study published in February of this year which cited another risk factor for childhood obesity: public school lunch. The study found that 6th graders in Michigan public schools who ate the school lunch were 29% more likely to be obese than those who brought their lunch from home. Nationwide, only 30% of schools serve lunches that meet the saturated fat standard, and only 6 to 7% of schools serve lunches that meet all of the government standards for nutritional minimums. Another issue contributing to this problem, and in my opinion the most significant issue, is a lack of good role models for our children. I'm specifically talking about us, the parents. Is it any wonder that we have record levels of unhealthy and obese children when 2/3 of American adults are overweight or obese? We allow 80% of our children to have TVs in their room, even though 66% American parents believe that there is a direct correlation between watching too much television and childhood obesity. Many of these people who are glorified in American pop culture are often symbols of excess and indulgence. Even our professional athletes, who are in generally excellent physical condition, are regularly plastered across the news for taking substances and chemicals into their bodies. What message does this send to our children about what is appropriate in terms of nutrition and their overall health? Let's review the major causes of childhood obesity and the road back to health for our children. We know that the rising tide of childhood obesity is a very real and serious problem for Americans. This unhealthy and costly trend may lead to adult obesity, with physical and monetary costs increasing in lockstep with the BMI. We know that childhood obesity results from a sedentary lifestyle, poor nutritional and eating habits, and a lack of healthy lifestyle role models, among other factors. We must take a more proactive role in the health of our youth and prevent this trend from defining our children's lives. Thank you.